With that being said, Miranda, we are now live here on Facebook. So again, thank you so much for being here, for joining me tonight. I'm super excited to have you share your journey, share your story, because I think it was pretty fascinating just kind of reading over the fun facts that you sent me. So I think a lot of people are going to be very excited to hear what you have to say. With that being said, hello guys, good evening on this Wednesday night. I'm sorry, I'm like super bad with keeping up with dates. But as always, guys, if you're watching the screen right now, you're thinking, who the heck is this person talking to me? Hi, my name is Dayanara. A lot of people know me by Dayie. I'm a small-time content creator, podcaster, and a mom of three. And I enjoy having this guest live segment to have fellow digital marketers from the program that I'm in, which is of course the Legacy Builder program, and many other programs, as you guys have seen over the months, that I've brought in different people to share their journey, share their story, and just tell you a little bit about the process that they've gone through, and just kind of give you a little insight in what it takes to be a digital marketer, which there's a heads up, it doesn't take too much, but it definitely takes a lot of dedication. So that being said, guys, you've seen her on my posts and you've seen her on my stories, but now you get to see her live. I have Miss Miranda. I didn't want to mess up your last name because I was like, is it Dehan or is it
you
the H?
got it, Dahan. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, because I was like, is the H silent? Is it not? And I was just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna try it out. Awesome. Well, guys, you've seen her in my post, and then you get to see her live. You actually get to hear and experience a little bit of what she has gone through to get to the point that she is now. So that being said, again, Miranda, thank you so much for being here. And I just want to open up the floor to you to be able to share who you are, what you do. And guys, as always, if you're watching us live, go ahead and comment live below. And if you're watching the replays, go ahead and hit that comment and put the replay on there. But go ahead, Miranda, the floor is yours.
Yeah, well, I thought it was really cool when I saw your post about doing this, and I thought, well, that's a really great supportive way to help the members, and I think that's really awesome.
Oh, thank you. I mean, it's why that I was like, well, I have to do something to give back to the community that's given so much to me. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. Awesome.
Yeah, so I've been kind of on an entrepreneurial journey. Oh, I guess you could say off and on since beginning of 2000, but
okay.
So when I first started on that journey, I moved from being an animal health technologist and moved into doing pet sitting and dog walking services.
Okay.
And you'll kind of notice that there's a really strong love for animals as I talk, but
I love it.
But then due to a couple of reasons, I ended up going back into the corporate world for a few years, because I did that business for about 5 years, and then I ended up going back into corporate. But having experienced that taste of entrepreneurship, it was like there was all of a sudden there's like, oh, I can create my own schedule. I don't have to work on somebody else's hours. I don't have to get up at these god awful early morning times.
Oh my goodness, yes. I am not a morning person myself, and having that time freedom, oh my God, it really does change you. You really don't want to go back to anything after that.
Yeah. And I think it also helped me to grow and shift as a person, to gain a better understanding of what my values are, what is really important to me. And so when I went back into the corporate world, it was okay for the first year or so.
Yeah.
And then it was just because one of the experiences that I've had in the working world as a non-entrepreneur is frequently losing my job, either from a layoff or because it's a contract position or it was a temporary position or something like that. So it's like I was never at a job for generally more than 1 or 2 years. And so there was never sort of that feeling of stability,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, yeah. How can like you said, when it's like that, when they're contract, it's like you're always in in the question of, okay, how long am I going to be here? That's wow. Wow.
And so, every sort of position I was in was a little different.
Hmm.
And, when I looked back, except for the one job that I was in, pretty much every position I was in was challenging my values, challenging my beliefs, challenging my ideas in some way or form.
Yeah.
But I wasn't recognizing it, because most of us, I think we're taught to just accept this is the way it is. This
Right.
is just what life is. You just have to accept it as being that way. And we end up closing ourselves off to looking at other options. And, so my last job that I was at, I was actually there longer. That one was probably more like 7, 8 years.
Okay. Wow.
Until I got laid off again. Um, but that was the job where I really started to recognize that I was trying to basically be a square peg trying to fit into a round hole.
Yes. Trying to put yourself in a box that you don't fit.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. I 100% connect with you on that. I mean, it's same thing with my last job before I got laid off as well. I literally got laid off before I started doing this. And it like you said, the corporate world really does like break us down, but also just like it almost like dims your light, right? Because they want you to be what they want you to be. They don't want you to be you. They want you to be whatever they need you to be. So I feel you. I know exactly where you're coming from when you say that, because yeah, it's so hard when you know that, you know, you're meant for other things. Like I said, society almost molds us in that way of just, you know, kind of like conformity and just like, um, it's almost like we're blinded from young almost, you know, like this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to finish high school, go to college, pay all this money, do whatever you need to do, and then don't move out of that, you know, that road, that journey that you started from the beginning. Like just keep it going. But yeah, oh my goodness, I'm right there with you, Miranda. Yeah.
Mhm. And so, I was becoming more and more disenchanted with the work I was doing because, when it was basically it was office work.
Yeah.
I went to school, I was trained in office work. I had this the ability, the skill to do it, but I didn't actually enjoy doing it. So I never really explored what it was I really wanted to do, what I really enjoyed. And, you know, I guess I'm going to use the word peon because that was sort of how it felt like I was just a peon
Yeah.
um, in the whole system. And, what I thought, how I felt, all of that didn't matter.
Yeah.
It wasn't important.
Mm.
And, I was, as much as I was trying to stay positive, it just was draining the life out of me. And eventually I actually ended up being diagnosed with adrenal fatigue.
Really? My
Mhm.
goodness. From that job particularly, or from just being in like that situation?
Well, I don't think it was just that job. I think it was probably like just the whole way of
Leading
being,
up to it.
trying to pretend to be something I wasn't, whether it
Yeah.
was in the job, whether it was with my family, whether it was with other people. It was just this constant pretending and
Yeah.
not honoring myself.
Wow. That's very powerful. That's very powerful. And I think, you know, when you say that, I know this is like, uh, my therapist is going to be like, yeah. You know, one of the things I noticed about myself, and now that you say that, I really connect with that because and I think a lot of us grow up to almost be like, I don't know if it's something that we go through or what is it about society that makes us feel like we have to be this way, but like the people pleasing part of like, I don't know, I don't even really know how to explain it, right? But I know that that is something I struggle with. Like you said, it's like being whatever other people you feel like they need you to be, but not necessarily being true to yourself.
Mm.
And wow, that, I mean, honestly, you're proven example that that can really affect you because again, it's like you're constantly pretending and you're never allowing yourself to really fully express yourself, you know?
Hmm.
Um, wow, that's powerful. I'm so sorry, you know, that's your experience with that because honestly, I hope obviously, you know, I want to hear more. But I mean, it's crazy because maybe a lot of people are actually going through that right now. They don't even know.
Well, I don't look at it from a victim mentality, or at least not as much as I used to. It's dissipated quite a lot because I recognize now that this, like I have a very strong spiritual connection, and I believe that the universe has me experience certain things as a way for me to grow and
Definitely.
expand and become better.
Definitely.
And, so I have been doing a lot of inner work and healing and that over the last few years since that happened. And it's still a work in progress.
Of course.
And, there's still a little bit of anger and resentment and things like that that still need some processing, but
Hey, we are all human. It'll take you whatever time it takes you, as long as you get there, right?
Mhm.
But that's wow, that's amazing, you know, um, and like you said, it's like I always I always kind of go back to this, and this is definitely something like one of my core values, or one of my core thinking is that like you said, you're very very connected spiritually. Me as well. I'm very very connected spiritually to my religious in a sense. I'm not like super super religious, but I definitely am a big believer. But that being said, I the one thing I can always kind of count on and I can always kind of like relate back to is the simple fact that the things that happen to us, we're not meant to understand why it happens to us. We're just meant to grow from it. We're meant to learn and to keep moving on. People kind of get stuck on the why. Why
Mhm.
is this happening to me? And like you say, kind of like falling back into that like victim mentality. Don't worry about the why. It happens because it happens. But worry about what happens afterwards. How do you grow from it? How do you move from it? So that's definitely something I always kind of try to you know when I get into that kind of mindset, that's kind of like what I like to come back to. It's like, don't worry
Mhm.
about the why, worry about what you're gonna do next. What is your next step to this? And yeah, that I mean that really I guess connects with that. I love that. But that's awesome. So after that corporate job, you said you were laid off. Was that when you started in legacy or what happened after that?
No, it's kind of was more of a delayed thing. Like I went on to EI, and
Mhm.
You know, as long as you're on EI, you're supposed to look for work, and you're supposed
Okay.
to be able to show that you're looking for work.
Hmm.
But I just could not handle the idea of working for a full-time job, even a part-time job.
Yeah.
So I was like kind of looking, but it was sort of like half-assed.
You're like, let me just apply to all of these places that I know I'm not qualified for, or I'm like overqualified, so I won't get. I love that. Just to kind of like just lengthen the time.
Yeah.
I would have done the
Well,
exact same. Trust me.
yeah. Well, I mean, it was just such long days because I didn't have a vehicle.
Yeah.
So between the commute, and the work day, because I mean, it was a 9 to 5, but basically, um, because of the time that I would have to get there, and then the time I would have to wait for the bus, and the time in the bus, it ended up being like 11 to 11 and a half hour day. Didn't leave much time to do
Much
what
of
I
anything.
wanted to do, or
Yeah.
to even just take care of myself. It was basically just come home, try to find the energy to make myself something to eat, and then veg out on the couch for an hour or something before I go to bed, kind of thing.
Exactly. Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, so I just could not deal with that idea of continuing to do that.
Yeah.
So then I got connected with somebody who had gone through an entrepreneur program. It was a
Mhm.
program that was actually through the government. And so it was a free program to attend. And you can actually still get your EI while you attend that program.
Nice.
And it's like it teaches you how to create a business plan and sort of develop your business idea and all that kind of thing, the
That's
setting the
amazing.
sales and all of these different things.
Yeah.
So, I didn't have like this big picture of how exactly it was all going to look like, and that I just decided, well, I've got a background as an animal health technologist. I've done the pet sitting and dog walking, so I've got that experiential experience that way.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'd like to do something where I'm doing pet education, because I realized when I was working in the vet clinics, that was the part that I really enjoyed, was talking to the people and helping them to understand the different aspects of caring for their pets.
That's awesome. Yeah. And that comes back to your love for animals, which I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what happened with the program? Were you able to continue on with it, or were you, what happened after that?
Yeah. So I completed the program, and it's not like a college program where it's a year, 2 years, or whatever.
Okay.
It was like about 10 weeks or something.
Okay.
So yeah, I completed the requirements of the program, and then started the process of trying to get a business going.
Hmm.
And but there are so many things to learn as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
I I I I always say that being an entrepreneur is the ultimate in personal growth.
The ultimate what again?
In personal growth.
In personal growth. Oh my god, that is so funny. That is crazy. It really, like, honestly, I'm right there. Yeah, I understand, because before I even attempted anything uh with the digital marketing, I've always been like kind of inclined to do something. I feel like it was come almost like a something that I gained from my mom, in a sense, because I know her whole life she wanted to start a business. She even had a name for it. She had a whole business plan set up, everything. And unfortunately, she just never had the opportunity to do it or to even start it. Right. So it was kind of like something I was like, since I was a kid, I was like, no, my mom started it. I need to like finish it for her. And it was almost like something that I had to do, right?
Mm.
But anytime I even tried to like look into, okay, what do I have to do? It was just so much stuff. Like you said, it's so overwhelming because you honestly don't know really where to start or how to start. And there's so many wrong ways to do it, which is
Mm.
crazy. So it was definitely a journey. Yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, I think there was a lot of feelings of overwhelm and confusion and all of this because what I found was that, this person said, oh, you should do it this way, and this is, the steps you should take and whatever. And then this person would say, oh, no, 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 that's completely the wrong way. You need to do this. And it was like, I had no idea who to listen to, who to believe, who to consider following. And that was one of the personal growth aspects. Is like, okay, check out different ideas in that, but check in with myself. What
Yeah,
really resonates with me?
exactly. What really connects with you? I love that. Yeah, definitely. Because like you said, everyone has their way of doing it. Everyone has their idea of doing it. And it's so funny to see how different they may be.
Mhm.
But again, it really just it really just has to come back down to you and what you feel really connects with you, and what you feel like you actually can do, right? Because again,
Mhm.
there's many ways to do it, but a lot of them may be wrong for you particularly.
Right, because what works for one person may not work for another
You know,
one.
for
Yeah.
another one. Exactly. So then what happened after that? Were you after the program?
So then gradually, I ended up connecting with this lady, Victoria,
Okay.
through a Facebook group that we were in together. And we started doing these monthly masterminds. And then I attended, did I? I can't remember exactly how that worked. I think I attended some kind of a podcasting thing, and then I got an invitation to apply for a scholarship for starting a podcasting,
Wow.
or start joining a course to start a
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, and for some reason, that just really spoke to me, but I was extremely scared and doubtful and having all these judgments on myself of, I can't do a podcast by myself. Nobody's going to want to listen to me. I'm going to be boring, and all of these kind of things. So
The,
um
the
I
negative
ended up
mindset.
yeah. So I ended up asking my friend, my business friend,
Hmm.
whether she would be interested in doing a podcast with me around animals.
Yeah.
And she immediately jumped on board with that. And once we were partnered together, then we just kind of, it was just kind of not smooth sailing, but it was like straight
It
path kind of
just
ahead
felt
of each
right.
other. Yeah.
Things start to align, especially when you do what you're supposed to do. And like when you reach that point where you're supposed to be at, things really do start to align. I love that. My journey to podcasting was kind of the same. I always say I always say podcasting kind of fell on my lap. I didn't intend it, but once I could put a name to it, once I understood what podcasting was, I was just like, wow, this is what I was looking for. This is what meant to be. I told you, Miranda, you're actually the very first person that has been or has any prior experience with podcasting that I've been able to interview. And I was super excited about that because I feel like I'm very passionate about it, of how it changed my life, my perspective. Like you said, it's really easy to think, wow, nobody's going to want to listen to me. Who am I? Right? That's the big question you get. Like, who am I to be the one to be telling these people these things?
Mhm.
Who do I think I am? But it it opens up so many opportunities, and I feel like, at least for me, and you could, if you want to add to it, you could definitely, kind of say your part in it. But um, when I started this, it was such a freeing experience after I passed that hurdle of worrying about what people were going to say or think, because I think that's the biggest like roadblock for anything on the
Mhm.
internet, is just kind of passing that, not worrying so much about what people may or may not say or do, and just being whatever you want to be, and then, expressing whatever you want to express. Um, but after I passed that roadblock, it was just, it's been such a freeing experience where I don't think in it's been many, many years since I've felt the way I feel now about what I'm doing. Um, Kind of in the same position as you, I worked many jobs and I hated most of them. Didn't necessarily hate the job. I just hated being in that job and being so like restricted. Um,
Mhm.
but at least for me, podcasting definitely is just freeing, super freeing, and has helped build up my confidence, a lot of things. So again, I was super excited to have you because of that simple thing. I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, I think my experience with it has, I'm not at that point yet, but that I might actually consider starting my own podcast in another kind of, not connected with animals, but sort of in a similar way.
Gotcha. Yeah,
But I don't know when I'll do that yet. I don't really have the time to work on that.
it's a lot.
Uh,
It's a lot. I get it.
yeah, and you know, we've actually been doing our podcast now for, when did we start? I think we started in October of 2020, I
2020.
believe.
Okay. I know you told me you have over 100 episodes already.
Mhm.
Congratulations. That is amazing. We just celebrated our 10th episode last week. So, we're pretty,
Oh,
pretty brand new. And I
oh
say we
yes.
because I'm actually in a podcast with my sister-in-law. I kind of do two things at once. I have my guest lives here, which kind of transformed into a podcast,
Mm,
just because it just felt more natural that way.
mhm,
But originally, I do have my, I guess the one that I really, really, uh, I fell in love with, or what made me fall in love with podcasting, with them. And we just celebrated 10. So just to know that you are already past 100, that I personally know how much hours and dedication and um, research, editing time, promotions. I mean, there's so much that goes into it,
mhm.
which is amazing that you guys have been able to extend it out so long. It's amazing. Definitely, I'm at awe, and I want to know more about your podcast, as far as, because I was looking at the links that you sent me. I was like, I don't think she sent me the link for the podcast. I have to ask her for it.
Oh yeah, I may not have.
You're fine. I definitely want the link, because you'll have a new subscriber from me. I love
Oh, cool.
it. That's awesome. All right. So, and then what happened with that once, once we were in that journey with your friend there and the podcast?
Well, I just continued exploring different ways. Um, I was trying to find that right connection where I don't know if it's connection is the right word, but finding something that I could be able to monetize, to be able to um,
Yeah, like create
get
your,
client, yeah, get clients and be able to create something that was
yeah,
meaningful to me, and like ultimately my desires. I want to do something that feels aligned with me, but is serving and supporting others.
definitely, definitely.
And trying to find that connection. So I explored doing virtual assistants.
Okay.
And then I explored narrowing that down a little bit more of supporting others with creating their own podcast and helping them walk through the steps of that.
Love that.
But that learning curve can sometimes be very steep.
Yes. And things are ever changing. Things
Yeah.
are ever changing. Everything's always updating. It's very, very hard to keep up, especially when, that may not be the only thing that you're focused on. Because again, like you said, you were at this point trying to find the way to monetize, trying to find the connection to the business side of it, right? Because I feel like podcasts, as a podcaster, I can say it's definitely more of like, it's something that kind of started out for fun and now it's kind of switched over to the mindset of like, let's make a business out of it so we can continue to do it, right? Because it's great, but you can't continue something for free for that long unless you were already prior to that,
Yeah.
stable, which I know I wasn't.
Well, Michelle talks about how some people are kind of more strongly the supporter type of person, which I think is what I am. And so it's more difficult for me to sort of really put myself out there and really promote myself and, make that connection and everything that is needed.
Yeah.
So that's been with the program, that's been something that I have been learning. And so, yeah, when I found this program, because I was still continuing to look for something, whether it was a part-time job or whether it was some other kind of opportunity where I could, even if it wasn't something that was 100% in alignment, but something where I could feel reasonably okay about to earn an income while I was building on the podcast and the things that resonated with me.
Exactly. Yeah.
And unfortunately, through these job ads and stuff like that, there's a lot of scams out there.
Yes.
And it can be, it seemed like maybe it's just my perspective, but it just appeared like a lot of the jobs out there were either a scam or the requirements were so excessive, either the time requirement or the skill requirement or the amount of tasks that you were required to do.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I just never felt like I
would be able to give them that.
Yeah. Connected with any of those things. So I eventually ended up finding a post for my sponsor on Facebook about the digital marketing program. And I read what she had said about it and the different ways that it can benefit and support, and that it was an earn as you learn opportunity.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, this is interesting, but my skepticism was still there. And I'm just like, well, okay, I'll tell her that I'd like to have a little more information, but we'll see. And then, she sent me the link to get the blueprint, and I read it and I thought, well, what you learned sounds pretty good. Like it sounds pretty detailed and helpful in that, but I still didn't feel sure. And so then I got the invitation to a webinar.
Yeah.
And when I watched the webinar and I was listening to Michelle talking about how the whole process worked and the automation and sharing of the stories of people who have, not necessarily made six figures, but how their lives have changed because of the program, changed for the better because of the program.
Definitely.
And that's what speaks to me the most. It's not the 6 figures, 7 figures, I'm not looking, it's not my goal to be rich.
Yeah.
If it happens, okay, but it's not,
right?
Not
it's a great benefit.
Yeah.
It's definitely a great benefit.
Yeah.
I love that. Yes. I mean, honestly, if you are only focused, and I love that you say that, because if you're only focused on the money, trust me, you're going to get nowhere fast, right? Because it's that will not be the thing that keeps you motivated forever, right? Because this is definitely, I feel like digital marketing is definitely a roller coaster. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, right? And you need to have something that pushes you and pulls you every time you go down, right? Because but when you're up, this is great, right? Great, things are great. But when you're down, you really need to have that motivation to keep
Mm.
going. And money can only get you so far as motivation, so definitely it is more about the life-changing aspect of it. I
Mm.
yesterday on my on our round table live, I have a couple of us here from the digital marketing world. Actually, most of us, well, no, all of us from Legacy Builder. And again, just friends I've made through that. And we got together. And I remember yesterday we talked about it, about this idea of digital marketing not being transactional, but being transformative. And
Mm.
that's,
Mhm.
that's kind of like what you want to do. You want to have that for the person that you are assisting, transform their life into whatever it is that they're looking for.
Mhm.
Not just a choice, but a life change or a lifestyle change. It's not just a job. It is a lifestyle choice in a sense.
Mhm.
Something that you can keep definitely long term. Because I think people are, like you said, there's a lot of scams out there.
Mm.
Definitely. When I was looking for jobs, I know I seen them. I think I even fallen into a couple of them, probably. Um,
Mhm.
but that being said, like it's scary to really, really like try something like this because there's so many scams. Um,
Mm.
but the beautiful side of it is that definitely once you're in it and you start understanding it, you can see how it really does change people's lives. It's not just the money. Money
Mhm.
is definitely a bonus, a very big plus, of course, right? Because that means you can continue to do this. But it definitely has changed a lot of people. It's changed me, and I know that for sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, so watching the webinar was what ended up really speaking to me. It was like there was kind of like this aha. It's like, oh wow, this is a real program. There is a real possibility of making a living doing this.
Yeah.
And I really connected with it. And it was like, I could feel in my body that it was a yes, but there was still kind of like this hesitation.
Yeah.
But I was pretty sure I was going to make the decision. And so I actually, I go for walks in nature with my partner every Saturday.
Okay.
And so this was just a few days before that. And I asked the universe, it's like, if this program is the right path for me, the right choice for me, show me something unusual in nature. And when we were walking on the path, I ended up seeing these red-winged blackbirds on the trees above the river.
Yeah.
I have always seen them around marshes, like on the bulrushes and stuff, but I have never, ever seen them by the river.
Look at that. You asked and the universe answered.
Yeah.
A blatant yes. I love that. Yes. Oh my goodness. Like again, I totally get that because people really sometimes, you it's awesome that you allowed yourself to see it too. You asked for it, but you were also like, you were willing to accept the yes from the universe in a sense, right? And I think that's a lot of people. I was scared when I started too. I'd never been into anything like this. No
Mhm.
MLMs, nothing like that. I grew up worried that I would be caught up in any of that. So I just steered very, very clear of anything that had to do with anything like that. So I think when it comes to like you said, you ask the universe for that sign. Sometimes as humans, we tend to still keep our eyes closed and not necessarily look up. We ask for the sign, we ask for the sign, we ask for a sign, but we don't necessarily look up. So that's awesome that you allowed yourself to see that, to accept it, and know, understand that feeling that yes, that was the sign that you definitely asked for.
Yeah.
That. Love that. And about when was that?
That was back in April
Okay. April of
this year.
2024 of
Yeah.
this year. Okay, perfect. Okay, awesome, awesome. So that's what happened once you started, or what happened after that?
Well, there's been a lot of mindset work that I have needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I got started in the Kajabi training, and started following the process, but I can't remember exactly what I did or what I thought or what I said to myself or whatever, but however it played out, I ended up delaying getting my website going and getting myself out there, and then following all the steps. So it probably took me about a couple of months before I actually
Started the dang thing, how they
really,
say.
yeah.
Doing the dang thing. Oh man, I mean,
I was probably had like different excuses or whatever that I was.
say to yourself, I mean,
Yeah.
like you said, it's a mindset thing. And I like, one of the things I really love about the program, and I've honestly, I think a lot of digital marketing programs have this. When it comes to the legacy builder program, what I love about it is that we don't just have the modules, right? We have videos, of course, we have tons of videos on mindset, but then you have, like, when Michelle, her webinars, her live trainings, her live calls, all of that. And it always, I feel like it always comes back to mindset. And that's, I mean, in any type of online business, no matter what you're doing, whether it's digital marketing or not, podcasting, whatever it is, mindset really, it's like 80% of the work,
Oh,
because
definitely.
if you're not in the right mindset, like I said, it's the excuses that you'll put, or okay, I'll do it later, or no, like you said at the beginning, who am I to be the one to be doing this? Or, when it talked about podcasting, mindset plays a huge role in the make or break of your online business. Because at the end of the day, if you are your own boss once you become an entrepreneur, in a sense, right? Aside from the people that you are helping, which they're like your mini bosses in a sense, but at the end of the day, you are your own boss. And you have to really have that, constant drive in yourself to keep the what is the term that Michelle, stinking thinking, I think
Oh,
that's what she
yes.
is. Yes, thinking, I love that. Keep that at bay, keep it away, and just kind of like, learn to maneuver through that. But yeah, I mean, I think what you experience is very natural. I think more of us would, how can I say it? More of us probably went through the same thing, and we're not as open and honest, or open to saying it or admitting it, in a sense. When I started, I kind of was the same thing. I kind of put it in the back burner. I was like, I'll do this at, when I have a chance. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. And it took me a while to kind of set up, and just kind of like really put myself out there. And I think for me, a big thing was just, again, just the thinking of like, what are people going to say once they start seeing me online? Like, they're telling you, go live, do this, do that, make posts. And you're just like, ooh, never done that before.
Mhm.
Love that. But so you started a couple months later. But can you tell me a little bit of the experiences that you've had since you started? Like, what have you seen in yourself that has changed? Because, being online or being out in like a public stance since you had the podcast, this was not your first time, or, this is not your first rodeo when it came to public speaking and things like that. So
Right.
what experiences do you think specifically have you had since you started digital marketing, like that have you grown from, that you learned, lessons learned, anything that you want to share in that?
Well, one is, I guess, trying to create more structure, more discipline in my day of, what my intentions are. What am I going to complete
Love that.
each day, kind of thing. And, not just kind of be like willy-nilly and be like, oh, okay, I'll do a little bit of training and then I'll do a post here and then, I'll see when I get it to another post or something like that. It's learning to be more intentional and more focused, and learning about how to connect with my audience. Because I mean, with podcasts and that, I was doing posts, but it was like I was doing maybe 3 posts a week.
Okay.
Or something like that. And it was just like, oh, here's the podcast. This is what it's about. And that was it,
Yeah.
kind of thing. I didn't know anything about how to really connect with my audience. And it's still a learning process. I'm still learning how to do that. But I'm starting to see this week, actually, I'm starting to see that has been improving, because as I go through the 90-day training, I shifted my ideal audience,
Okay.
and narrowed it a little bit more, and I'm focusing more on my story of the burnout and feeling like a square peg in a round hole and that type of thing.
Yeah.
And which is making it a little easier for me to speak and be more like, and I'm learning to be more vulnerable and share who I really am, what I really believe and value. Like I've shifted away from things like, you should do this, you shouldn't do this, and that kind of thing, because I've recognized that's all just my beliefs, my ideas. And so I want to avoid trying to push that on other people, but still at the same time sharing what it is that I believe and feel strongly about. So I'm starting to see that people are starting to connect with that a little bit more.
Love that.
So that's telling me, okay, I'm on the right track. I still have to do some more work on connecting with my story and that. But one of the challenges that I've found for myself is that I've always disliked this sort of sales approach of feeling like I'm pushing something on somebody, that I'm selling something to somebody. So, I still feel kind of disconnected when I promote about the webinars or share about the 90-day program and things like that. And I'm not doing it from a place of sharing my story. I'm doing it of, oh, well, there's this thing, if you want to know more, kind of thing. It just
yes, I'm right there with you. Yeah, I totally understand, because that's my same feeling about it. I actually come from a sales background, so I know exactly, what it takes to sell a product. I did it for years. And it's so, like you said, it just it doesn't align with who you are, like what really feels like honest and pure to you, it's very, very hard to do that. I think I'm literally listening to you and I'm like learning as I'm going, because I'm actually experiencing a lot of the things that you're experiencing or that you experienced. I'm actually going through that now. I think you said it earlier, where some of us are just bigger or better supporters than we are really at kind of putting ourselves in the forefront and being kind of like that. And I think people can kind of tell by the simple fact that like I prefer to kind of share the limelight, or like, put the limelight on somebody else rather than bring it back to myself. But I think it's because I'm still struggling with, like you said, just like sharing the program, sharing the product, um, and trying to find that balance between not being salesy and doing it in a way that feels natural. And that is the most uncomfortable thing to do, I think, because it's like, how do you really find that beautiful balance
Yeah.
without feeling like you're pretending to be something that you're not? So yeah, I'm wow. I mean, honestly, I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off, but it was just like, wow, I
Oh,
have to
no,
say,
it's okay.
because it's like I'm literally learning as you speak, because it's something I'm definitely struggling with. And I think today's live, for anyone that is struggling with the same thing, I think it's very, very beneficial, even if they haven't started necessarily, the program, or started anything towards building their own business or doing something for themselves. I think, that's something that most of us, if not all of us, will struggle with, is finding that beautiful balance. Um,
Yeah. Well, I'm asking universe or source, or whatever you want to call it.
yeah,
I asked, when I remember to, I try to re-ask. It's like, please help me to connect from a place of love, to share my truth, but from a place of love. Please help me to understand and have compassion and empathy for the people that I am trying to reach.
to reach. Exactly. I love that. I absolutely love that. I mean, and the funny thing is, people, if you're not in this, if you're not already doing this, it's very hard to, it's easy to assume that it's like, oh no, well, it's just part of the gig, in a sense, right? It's part of the gig. It's just what you have to do. But I don't know if this happens to you, but for I've done content before where, again, feeling like I'm not really myself. That is the one content that I'm like, oh, like it's a feeling that you get, right? Versus
Mhm.
content where you're actually sharing, like you said, from a place of love, from a place of like, that's true to you. That content that you put out there, at least in my reality, I don't know how you would say that. It's one of those that's like, wow, those are the ones I'm really proud of. The other ones, well, they're out there, but
Yeah, right. Well, it's been kind of interesting because I have the platform that I'm focusing the most on right now is LinkedIn. And
yeah.
I'm not so much, I don't connect so much with creating a lot of video. I do it here and there, but I don't want that to be my main focus.
Hmm.
I like creating written content, and LinkedIn is a platform where people actually read content.
Nice. Oh, that's really good to know. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know much about LinkedIn, so that's awesome. That's really good to know.
So there's 4 groups that I am a part of, that are aligned with my way of being, and to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And it's like growth, it's mindset growth and spirituality and that. And there's also like a brain expansion one
Love
kind of
that.
thing. And they're pretty open to uh, what they accept in the group,
Hmm.
as long as it's not like way, way, way off base kind of thing. And so, I create and share a lot of posts
Yeah.
that, connect with those sort of areas, my spiritual journey, and experiences, my my growth journeys, the challenges that I am going through or have experienced some growth around it and things like that. And I have had some of those posts, like most of them will get at least 30 views, but I've had some that have reached like almost 200 views.
Wow. Wow. And that's just within the group, or those are posts that are
That's within
actually
the
like,
group.
that's amazing.
And so, those are the ones where it's not, I'm not really talking about the program. I'm just talking about myself in a sense, or like sharing things that other people might be able to relate to.
Exactly.
And so, I think that's kind of what I need to bring more of into my regular posts. And what I've noticed now is that people who are seeing those posts in the groups, they're starting to check out my personal profile more.
Love that.
And I hadn't been getting any, for a long while, I hadn't been getting any new followers. It had been basically static. And in the past week or week and a half, I have gained like 5 new followers.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's just like, okay, something's
working.
Something's working. Yeah.
I love that. Yes. And it's someone could literally be listening to us right now and thinking, oh, 5 people, wow. But they don't understand, that's 5 whole people, 5 potential people that you can be essentially doing something for them that can change their life. I mean, some people go their whole life without affecting one person, right? In a positive way, their whole life. And it's about celebrating each and every, because I think as a society, we are so consumed, especially on social media, seeing the big things, right? The celebrities, the influencers, the big numbers, the thousands and thousands and thousands of followers, and not really seeing that each one of those followers could potentially, right? Because you never know now and on these days, but each of those could be an actual person, but do they really know those single people? So starting out small and appreciating those little wins, right? As they become bigger wins, that's something that I think every win should be celebrated. 1, 5, 10, a million should all be celebrated. But that's amazing. Like you said, once you start seeing that movement, it's a thing that kind of like lights up within you that says, wow, like, what did I say that I like, what in this did they connect to? What can I really dig deep? And it's almost like you're being validated for what you're sharing, right? Because you're putting words out there, you're sharing, you're being vulnerable. And it's a beautiful thing to have people really connect with that vulnerability, because then it's like you almost feel like, yes, I can be a little bit more open. I don't have to put up this facade of everything's perfect.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that has shown me that some people are resonating with what I'm sharing is that there's been a couple of people who have reshared my post to their own network. And that's like,
that's a huge win. Oh, that's amazing. I love that. I love that.
And it's like, I'm never going to know how much impact what I share is going to have on anyone else. But if it has a positive impact on even one person, then it was worth it.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I love that way of thinking. I'm right there with you. Again, I'm all about sharing those little wins and sharing the big wins and sharing the things that really, really resonate with each and every one of us, and really connect with our values, So I absolutely love that. And I love that you shared a little bit of what it is, especially with LinkedIn and what you do there, because I feel like, especially on an online space, a lot of us struggle with knowing really how to share our content and our story, right? And this just goes to show that you can share your content, you can share your journey, your story, but you really have to figure out how you like to share it. You know, some people are more comfortable being on a camera and sharing it this way. Others may not be at that level. And it's great
Mhm.
to know that they have more options than just, you know, one or another, you know, either on camera or you're faceless, you know. No, there is there is a beautiful in between. You
Yeah.
know, you just got to figure out where you fit in that space. So that's, I mean, I think that's amazing. I honestly, I don't know much about LinkedIn. I thought it was just a place where you put up your resume, and you
I think it
find
may have started
job.
off that way, but
Yeah.
it's definitely evolved to an all over professional. But it's, I remember Michelle talking about the nature of the different platforms and that, like,
Yes.
TikTok being the just get to the point kind of thing.
Yes.
And Facebook being like a more drama based platform, which is probably why I don't really care for it that much.
Yes, that is a very, very true.
And LinkedIn doesn't seem to have, like, there's some posts where it can be like a little more dramatic, but it's
Yeah.
not like the focus of it. There seems to be a lot of people who are sharing posts along the line of what I'm sharing, kind of thing, where they're sharing their journey, their experience, their vulnerability, and all of this kind of stuff. And so I feel like I'm more willing to look at people's posts because I can connect with them
Yeah.
much more easily.
I love that. And I think what I do know about LinkedIn, which is this is something I learned through like a podcasting boot camp thing, where we had a speaker that he was very, very successful there in LinkedIn, connecting his podcast
Mhm.
to it. That also in LinkedIn, compared to other um, platforms, they don't just allow anyone to create an account, right? You see that a lot, especially like on Instagram, sometimes even here on Facebook. You do have a lot of bot accounts, right? They're not real
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
They're just kind of like, you know, AI, or they're just whatever. They're people that really don't care. So I think I really, really like that about LinkedIn, is that they have more of an extensive requirement in order to have your account and it continue to be active in a sense.
Mhm.
So at least that's what he shared with us. So I think that's a really nice way of kind of like also limiting the amount of fake accounts that can potentially reach your content, because then you have all of these high numbers, but you don't have the, you know, it doesn't convert. You know, you don't have the conversions to show for it. You have millions of views and nobody's commenting, or millions of views and
Mhm.
nobody's engaging. So
Yeah.
I really do kind of like appreciate that about that platform. And honestly, again, I don't know much about it, but uh, like you said, the universe really does bring things to you when it's supposed to, in a sense. And I think as I've heard about it more and now talking to you, it's like one of those things like wow, maybe we should look into LinkedIn. But I love that. Love that. So
Mhm.
and then so now as you're seeing the movement in LinkedIn, do you what plans do you have for your future here with your business? Or I'm sorry, I haven't even let you get to that part yet. Go ahead and continue with that. I'm so sorry.
I'm not sure what I was kind of saying before, but
Oh, I'm
uh,
sorry, but sharing your content there and just being able to see your, you know, new followers and just the
oh
connections that you're making there.
yeah, and like I'll do recorded videos here and there, and I do have a YouTube channel that I'm sharing about the program, but it's a mix of sharing about that as well as the things that I'm interested in, what I want to bring more into my life. And I think YouTube is going to be my second platform that I'm not overly focused on it at the moment. It's kind of more like if I do a video, then I'll upload it
Yeah.
to YouTube, because I was doing a few YouTube or for a few Facebook lives. I was
Okay.
trying to do a Q&A on Facebook, but I wasn't getting any interest. So I was like, okay, well, I have to think of some topic that I can talk about if I don't get anybody joining me. So,
Mhm.
I have a variety of things that that interest me, like today I I did uh a video about attachments and the attachments we can have in our lives and how it can affect us and others. And so it's that kind of thing that I've been talking about. But what I've noticed with video, I would not do well on TikTok because I am not a fast speaker. And I thought of myself as a slow speaker. And I was talking to my podcast partner, and she's like, "No, you're not a slow speaker. You're an intentional speaker."
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
you're telling you tell your story in the way that you want, and I totally get that. Yeah, I feel the same way about TikTok. I'm very back and forth. We actually have one of my very close friends here in the comments. She's been commenting all this time, so thank you, Kara, for being here. And just she's the best at supporting. But she's actually very very successful over there on TikTok, and I always find this disconnect because I'm kind of like you, Miranda. I like the journey through the story. I don't want to just get to the point. I want you to know and understand how I got there in the first place, you know? And I think, yeah, it's again about knowing the platform. And
Mm.
yeah, that definitely does not resonate with TikTok. They lose interest in like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
It's a hard.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. So, like what I'm, um, the lifestyle that I'm trying to create for myself is that I'm really interested in having a more simple life. Just just more simplicity, less complication, and being able to, I like having slow mornings
Yeah.
where I can do the things like I start off my morning doing yoga nidra.
Oh wow.
And it's something that just it puts me in stillness. It helps to get me out of my mind. And I feel like I'm more gradually able to wake up because it's like I don't do well when it's like get out of bed and I have to go.
Alarm and go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
it's late. Let's go. Oh no, the PTSD. Oh man, I love
Yeah.
that. Oh,
So I
love.
like to do things that are going to help nurture my soul. That's the phrase that I like to use, is nurturing my soul and my well-being. And so I usually, I want to have time in my day to be able to do that kind of stuff. I love spending time in nature. I go for a daily walk and really notice my surroundings and the nature around me and trying to connect with it as much as I can.
Mhm.
And the different spiritual practices, just being able to be in stillness and um the different things like just observing the way that I'm being in different situations and
Yeah.
practicing not judging myself, but just noticing it.
Yeah.
And all of these different things. It's
I
like
like.
that is my main focus. It's like for me, it's not about going and doing a bunch of traveling or buying a big house or having a fancy
Yeah.
car or any of that kind of stuff. Um, that just doesn't really resonate with me. Being able to eat well, have good food to eat,
Yeah.
um, and just take care of my overall
Being.
mental, emotional,
Yeah.
physical. soulful being.
Love that. Yeah, definitely self-care, self-love, self-awareness. I
Mhm.
love that. And I think it's something that we all almost take for granted in a sense. Not everyone really notices that, that you do have to take that time for yourself and not worry about, like I said, yes, of course, that there are a lot of external factors that people can focus in on, like the
Mhm.
money, like the cars, like the travel, like all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, it all comes back to you. Um, so that's a beautiful thing that you really are, trying to connect with that, and trying to be as connected as you possibly can with that, because that is actually the most important thing if we really think about it. Because without that, nothing else really matters. You're not taking any of that with you, once you leave
Exactly.
this earth, none of that goes with you, not the cars, not the houses, not the money, not the watches, not the purses, whatever you want to fill yourself with. It's, your being, your soul, and just that part of you is really the important. So that's a beautiful thing that you are not only noticing the importance of it, but like actually acting on it, and being intentional about acting on it. So that's beautiful.
Mm.
I think we all need a little bit more of that. I know I definitely do. Love that. So, and then with your business, Miranda, now, as it's, as you see these changes and you're seeing, what do you think is in your plans for the future? How do you see it growing? How do you see it changing? I mean, you've had a lot of experience in different things, right? You've
Mhm.
done the what I always forget how to say it, the corporate world. You've done, you know, being social and open on podcasts. Now, you're taking this new route, through self-discovery and self-growth. And what do you see in your future?
To be honest, I don't really know.
Love that. That is the most honest you can get.
um like I feel like the last 3 years or something like that, I feel like I've been kind of in a cocoon. And that I've been going through this transformation
Yeah.
that I can kind of see, but not exactly.
Uh-huh.
But I know that it's caused me to like really go inwards and not I haven't really wanted to engage with people very much.
Hmm.
And so I haven't been very social,
Gotcha.
but I'm getting messages that this is going to be shifting soon. That what my purpose is, what I'm meant to be doing is going to be happening very soon. And I'm going to get clarity on what that is. But I don't know what that's going to look like. Don't know how that's going to develop. The only thing that I feel like I've got the sense of the kinds of things that I'm sharing in my posts, that
Yeah.
it's going to be connected with that in some way.
Love it. I know you mentioned to me about your intuition, and just honestly really lean into that, because for a reason you have that intuition. There's a reason you have that feeling, and it's a beautiful feeling to have, because it's, you know, almost pushing you in the direction that you may not know that you actually want to be pushed in. So it's like that. Wow, that, I mean, honestly, you gave me goosebumps when you were talking about it, because I was like, wow, that is so powerful, Miranda. I mean, and I think a lot of anyone that's watching, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replays, I think you could, if you take anything from this whole video, um, from that last statement, it's these little things that um, are forcing us to change. Like you said, the nudges, the messages, um, you know, be more open to them. I think a lot of us are just kind of like on, mind, the way we're thinking is like, we can't think of anything else but the way we do things. I can't change anything. But there is room to grow. There is room to change. And that could essentially put you in the right path, the path that you're supposed to be on. So I mean, I thank you for being so honest in the fact that, like you said, maybe you haven't, you don't really know what is in store for the future, but I love the fact that you are open to what the future has in store for you. That's a huge thing. You don't have to have a perfect plan. You don't have to have it written down. And but you do have to be open and willing if you want it to happen. If not, things won't necessarily happen for you. They just keep going the same way they are, and they will be forever. So
yeah, and I think that this digital marketing, this online business that I'm doing with the digital marketing, it's part of my path. It's leading me towards whatever it is that I'm moving towards.
Exactly, that the universe has in store for you. I love that. Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right, we're pretty much at the end of our live here, Miranda, but if you wanted to share anything else with the people that may be watching now or watching in the replays, anything you want to add in here before I share all of your socials and all of the stuff so they can go ahead and follow you there?
Well, I just, with going to, maybe it might be a little too much for some people, but in terms of like the intuition and the spiritual stuff, I just want to offer the suggestion of opening yourself up to different ways that universe can communicate with us. And it's something that I'm still learning. And, I know some people are going to say that some of these things are just hogwash and and whatever.
There will always be those. Trust me. It doesn't matter if you would have said that or something completely different. There's always going to be people like that.
Yeah.
That's okay, because that's not the people we are specifically talking to. Right? The people that will get the message, they know exactly who they are, and that's what matters.
Mm-hmm. And so I've been exploring these different ways that I'm getting messages. So I've been starting to pay more attention to my dreams, and when I can remember them enough, I will write them down, and then I will sort of explore the symbolism in them. And what I understand, it's my intuition talking to me through dreams and guiding me as to things that I might need to pay attention to, or perhaps take action on, or something like that. But I also feel like I get a lot of messages from animal messengers. Like, for me, it's been more the live animals, because I've had these interesting connections with live animals. And, for me, it's more about when they behave in a way that's kind of unusual.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you're trying to tell me something. I haven't always been able to completely interpret what the message is, but I look up to see what the animals sort of represent, and it's more in connection with their way of being. Like, I mentioned in the questionnaire that I answered that I had this connection with nuthatches and chickadees and squirrels.
Yes. You told me that. Yes.
and
I actually was like, wow, I have to start looking up what some of these are, because it's like, nuthatch, what is this? I love that. But yeah, I mean, you said you've had close encounters with them.
There was a few weekends ago when it was warmer. My partner and I had a cookout at the park. And we decided to take a little container of peanuts, unsalted plain peanuts, just to clarify that, because salt is not good for a lot of animals. But we had this little container. We had a picnic table, and we had this little container on the corner of one of the picnic table that we were actually sitting at. And while we were either sitting at the picnic table or standing right near it, first we had well, actually, I can't remember exactly what order, but we had a nuthatch that came and landed on our stuff, like about a foot away.
Yeah.
And was just kind of checking stuff out. We had a blue jay land right at the container and snatch one of the peanuts. We had the chickadees. We put a couple of peanuts on the ground next to the picnic table, and they came and grabbed them. And then there was a squirrel, which the squirrel actually took a peanut from my hand on 2 separate occasions. Well, the same day, but two times.
Yeah.
And so, it was like, it was this message of these animals are trusting us enough to come this close to us. There's like this big thing of trust. And then the blue jay grabbing the peanut was kind of a suggestion of, grabbing the opportunity while it's there.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. And I just want to clarify, and something I kind of like want to just kind of piggyback on the fact that you said, like, and then you mentioned earlier, some people might think of this as like hogwash is what you said. But if people really listen, whether, you're specifically talking about the universe and the signals that the universe gives you through nature, through animals, if you really hear what Miranda is saying, and connect it to what you believe, whether that's religion, people believe in God giving you signs and angels, and others that believe in energies. The animals felt your energy, they understood it. They may not be able to speak, but it all of, if you really listen to what she is saying right now in her story, and you can literally relate it back to what you believe, it's all the same. It's all the same. It's just through different vessels. It's just through different, versions in a sense of it. But sorry, I just needed to put that in there because I absolutely don't think that it is hogwash. I think it's very, very clear and to the point, and almost, it's just powerful. You literally just gave me goosebumps because it's just like, wow, like it's amazing what you're saying, and you're so open. You're people that say the third eye, right? Your third eye is so open to this in a sense, that you can, have this thing happen to you and understand it in that way. That's amazing. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just had to say that.
I'm glad you added that, because I think that really adds another element, or like helps people to understand a little bit better. But and then with the squirrels, it was kind of the message of, how they balance play with preparation, because it was the fall, and it's like it's their time for like gathering their food for the winter and that, but there's like this playful aspect still about them.
I love that.
And balance has been like a big message for me, that, to incorporate balance more in my life in different ways. And so simplicity and balance are 2 big messages that I've been getting. And I'll share one last one about the animal, and then I'll also just share one other quick experience. But then with Magpie, this was another time we were on this beach area.
Mm-hmm.
And my partner and I were both eating wraps as we were walking and looking at rocks, because he likes to collect rocks that are unique looking.
Love that. With a whole rock
And
collection.
yeah.
Love that.
And while we were eating, this magpie came and landed about a foot away from us. And it was just kind of looking at us like,
Yeah.
And then my partner decided to give the magpie a little bit of the meat that was in his wrap.
Yeah.
And he just kind of tossed it. And the magpie came back. And it kept kind of coming back and trying to get some food for us. But, and then the magpie actually started to take food from our hand, from our fingers.
Wow.
And then it got bold. It really got bold. And I was like, I was standing up, I was holding my wrap, and it decided to fly up and help itself to my wrap.
Yeah.
We actually have a picture of the magpie actually.
Oh, that's
like flapping and like grabbing the wrap. It was really cool. It was like
that is awesome.
So, and that's all sort of about trust and opportunity and that. Yeah. But then a couple of weeks ago, I was sick. I got really, really sick. And the messages that I got from that when I explored it was that it was about purging and releasing what's not serving me. That's it was like in a physical sense, but also in non-physical sense. Yeah. And, after making multiple trips to the bathroom during the night, I got kind of tired of it. And I was like, okay, body, what is it that you need to help heal you or help you feel better?
Yeah.
And the first clear as crystal message I got was oatmeal. Yeah. And then the second message I got that was just a little more subtle was simplicity.
Love that. Yeah. I mean, you're right. It's all connected. It's all connected, and again, regardless, guys, regardless of what your beliefs in, however you see it, you can really take back from that because, it's about quieting all the extra and really focusing in, like being able to look inwards and really understand it. Just simple things, like you said, just your body rejecting all of this, like, trying to take out all of this bad, and you being able to get that message from that it's like, it's not just like, it's not the food, it's not that, it's like something deeper, it's something, more meaningful. And I mean, I think a lot of us are just too focused on the loud, the outside, or out, how could I say, like, exterior things, and it's very hard to look inwards for a lot of us. Like I can add myself to that. Sometimes it's just easier to blame it on something else exterior, or kind of look at it from the exterior, and not necessarily inwards. But
and I still experience that too. Like I'm still learning to work with my intuition and to be able to recognize it, because I've also learned that there's two types of intuition. There's your true intuition, and then there's your ego, who wants to pretend it's like your intuition, because ego doesn't like being left out. And so, but ego is more connected with the emotion. Like true intuition is not really emotional.
Yeah.
But the ego-based intuition has, can be like, get you like really excited or really whatever right away. So it's being able to try to differentiate between
the two. You see, you learn something every day. I mean, I never even looked at it like that. It's, to me, it was just one. But it does have levels. That's crazy. That's crazy to like. It's crazy to think about it like that. That's awesome. crazy in a good way. Crazy in a great way. But Miranda, honestly, thank you so much. I mean, honestly, I had no idea how this was gonna go, and I'm so glad it went the way it did, because I I feel so good about today, and about everything that we talked about the potential lessons that people can get from today's live, and the connections that, this can really, maybe it could be the missing link that somebody needed to kind of align the two. Um, Whether that's like, life and business, and just trying to find the perfect balance for yourself, what's best for yourself, and what really aligns with your core beliefs and your true self, your true being. So
Mhm.
again, I appreciate you being here. I honestly, I mean, I'm excited to see everything that you have in store. Again, you have a new follower, by the way. Need your podcast information, and especially if you start a new one, like you said, that you were potentially looking to do something with animals, and just, no, that was what your podcast is about currently, right? You wanted to switch it
Right.
up now.
Yeah, I think that if I were to start one, it'd be more just sort of more spiritually based.
Love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Well, you definitely, once you started, you got to let me know. But you got to definitely a new follower for the old podcast. Thank you again for being here, guys. And if you don't have to pull out a pen and paper, I promise I will share all of this information right after this live, with all of her socials. She has, like she mentioned, big on LinkedIn, which is, it's just under your name, correct? Just like it's on here in Zoom, Miranda Dehan.
Um, no, I'm
It's
drunk. Hang
I
on.
have it here in front of me. It's
You? Okay.
linkedin.com -in and then her name exactly, how
Okay.
you see it here in the screen, guys.
Okay.
So, and then of course we have your Facebook, which is back slash Miranda. Oh, Miranda D73. You have your YouTube at Soulful Wealth System, and then Soulful, www.soulfulwealthsystem.ca being your website. So that way they can check
Mhm.
out all of the things that you have there. Guys, again, it's all about the support, it's all about the engagement, it's all about feeling that just good vibes here, and that's what we love to share. So please, again, I'm going to share it with you guys right after this, so you don't have to pull out the pen and paper, I promise. But regardless, Amanda, look at that. Miranda, I'm thinking Amanda. That's my cousin. Wherever she is, hopefully she's good. She's on my mind, I guess. Miranda, thank you so much for being here again. I appreciate you. And I hope that this is not the last time we get to chat. Maybe we can connect in the future for a kind of like talk about what's been going on, what's changed, what's new, and hopefully we could set that up here in the future. I know today, honestly, I have had some questions on my own. I haven't shared that personally here on online. This is just some things I've been kind of like struggling with and thinking on my own. And I think today's live really connected a lot of things for me. So you were definitely, again, I'm very spiritual, so you were definitely God sent for me. um,
I'm glad to hear
but
that.
honestly, again, I really appreciate you being here. And guys, again, check out her stuff. And if you have any questions, feel free to connect with her, send her a message, or link up in all of her other social media platforms. And that's all I have. You want to add anything else at the end here, or we're good to sign off?
just just thanks for making this such a great conversation. It was very enjoyable.
Thank you for that. Oh, I'm glad. I mean, why I started the podcast here was because of that. I mean, I know I needed it when I started, and it's just nice to have just normal conversations. We're all normal human beings, doing this, and it's just a way to show everyone that's watching that doesn't really, you don't have to be perfect in order to do this. You don't have to be all put together, or at a specific point in your life, to start something new, to start your own business, to do whatever it is that you've been wanting to do, to stop trying, like you said, to be a round peg trying to get into this, or square peg trying to get into a round hole.
Yeah,
Is it
that's right.
backwards?
Yeah.
You don't have to do that, guys. There are other options out there, and it's just a matter of being brave enough to try. So again, I appreciate you, Miranda, for accepting the invitation and being here and sharing your journey and being so vulnerable and open. I really do appreciate all that you've shared with us today. And again, I hope I can have you back here very, very soon, maybe within a couple of weeks or months, whenever you're ready. And we can
Okay.
share any updates that you may have. Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys. So that's all I have for you tonight. I will be back here probably later on for my podcast lives, but really that's all it is for tonight. I appreciate you and I hope you have a great one. Have a great rest of your night, Miranda.
Thanks. You too.
All right, guys. And bye. I'll see you guys later. Bye.